Alright, Sonic Movie 3 is officially out, so you know what that means. It's time to talk about Sonic Movie 4. Hey, what's up everyone, it's me, SpeedSuperSonic, we're gonna say another video. In this video today, that's right, you heard me. I know Sonic Movie 3 just came out, but it's officially the week after the official release of Sonic Movie 3, so all sights are now set on Sonic Movie 4. Now, we've already talked about it a decent bit on this channel, because not only was it confirmed on preview day, I believe, of Sonic Movie 3, that Sonic Movie 4 was officially in the works, set for a release date of spring in 2027, but of course, Sonic Movie 3's post-credit scene essentially set up the future for Sonic Movie 4. So, with the pieces that we've been given from not only Sonic Movie 3, but those post-credit scenes and everything we know so far that's been given to us from behind-the-scenes details from the writers or Jeff Fowler, what can we expect in Sonic Movie 4? And more importantly, what do I want to see in the film? That's what we're here to talk about today. So without any further ado, let's dive into what I want to see in Sonic Movie 4. Of course, they're going to be spoilers, so let's talk about what we are definitively getting. We know that Sonic Movie is going to be a new movie featuring brand new characters, two specific being Amy and Metal Sonic. Amy surely is going to play a massive role in the film, and that's already been basically confirmed by one of the writers of Sonic Movie 3, stating that this is the big female character of the franchise, and she's going to be playing a big role. We've known that for a bit now. Not only has Daniel RPK reported that Amy was going to play a big role in Movie 4 months and months and months before this reveal, but I think with a character like Amy, that could already have been assumed. In the canon, in the franchise, in media outside of the films, where Amy hasn't been introduced yet, she's essentially now part of a quad. Not like a quad relationship, that's weird. But instead of Team Sonic just being Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, it's slowly become more of Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy over time, with Amy playing a larger and larger role in each new installment. So it's kind of natural that if you're going to bring her into the fold, she's also going to play a large role, if not just join Team Sonic. And based off of how Sonic Movie 3 ends, you can infer that Amy is definitely going to be on the side of Sonic rather than some kind of adversary. She gives him a cheeky little grin, she essentially saves him. So for the theorizers saying that they might make Amy like another twist rival to a friend, but I don't see that happening whatsoever. In fact, I don't think the writers want to do that because things would start becoming a little more samey. Not that Knuckles and Shadow had similar arcs, but the effective ending of their arcs was them joining Sonic to ultimately save the day. If they did that again with Amy, I think things would start getting a little more repetitive. Like I said, for Sonic Movie 4, I think Amy is going to play the role that Tails did in Sonic Movie 2. It isn't necessarily the main selling point of the film. I think she's going to play a massive role in the marketing for sure, and I think they're going to get a big star to play her. But the other character that's introduced in the post-credit scene is obviously going to play a massive role as well, and that is Metal Sonic. He's going to be the big bad, I'm assuming. In fact, they're not just doing one Metal Sonic, they're doing a whole army. I essentially think that this is going to be the quote-unquote Age of Ultron of the Sonic movie franchise, with Sonic at this point being the most comparable to some kind of long-running series cinematic universe. That's the best comparison I can really make. So yes, those are the two characters, Amy and Metal Sonic. And what can you compare that to in other Sonic media? Sonic CD, the game where the two characters were introduced for the first time and have the most overlap with the two characters in the story. But what I do not want this to be is a direct adaptation of Sonic CD. I think the plot of that game is incredibly contrived and all over the place and sloppy, not 100% due to the game itself's fault, but just the time it was made. With it being introduced on new hardware that was just being tinkered with, being CD technology, I don't, put too much blame on the game for not being able to execute on that great of a story, especially with Sonic being as fresh as a franchise as it was back then. I very much want this to do its own thing, even more than Sonic 3 did with SA2's story. Shake it up, do something completely different. I don't really want time travel here, I don't think that plays a role just yet, especially because that's something I want to see in Sonic Movie 5. I know this is a Sonic Movie 4 wants video, but I want Sonic Movie 5 to get all into time travel when they introduce Silver, because I still very much so want Silver in Sonic Movie 5, and would have I liked to see 4 be a Silver movie? Absolutely. But that is clearly not what we're getting, and now I don't actually want Silver in Sonic Movie 4, because if you have Metal Sonic, Amy, and Silver on top of Team Sonic being Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and Shadow returning, too many characters at play. It's just too much work. You have so much to go over, you're not going to have time. So that's why I'm happy they are doing 2 characters, but not bringing in Silver alongside like Amy or Metal Sonic, because that would just be too much. So I do not want to see Silver pop up in this, and I want Movie 4 to play in its own world away from time travel. And the biggest thing I want from this, the number one hope, is that they are able to get Amy's character right. Now, what do I mean by that? I'm going to get in hot water for what I'm about to say, but I need them to completely reinvent this character, and based off of something very small, I think that's what they are going to do. I don't think it's going to be a complete overhaul of her character. I'm glad that they're not making her kind of a more edgy arch rival to Sonic or doing something like that. I'm glad that they're making her an ally, but I need them to do something different with her character. I'm sorry, but for me personally, I enjoy the sweetness of Amy. I enjoy the inherent goodness of the character, but she isn't a very interesting character for me to watch in different Sonic media. I know my stuff when it comes to Sonic, guys, and if you guys enjoy Amy, that's completely fine. But as somebody who has consumed all of this media, every game, every show, I haven't particularly become accustomed to Amy, and that's not from me being a new-time fan. I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old. I think it'd be hard-pressed for a lot of people to tell me that Amy is a more interesting character than Knuckles or Shadow, but that doesn't mean she can't be. Amy can be the most interesting character in this franchise if the writers know what they're doing and aren't necessarily afraid of how fans are going to react to a new version of the character being introduced. Because to be fair, there's not a whole lot for them to work with there, so I want them to be able to just do whatever they want and think would work best with that character in the movie. I want to see her be her own character, detached from Sonic, because so much of the media where she is in, it is just her obsession with Sonic as a character, not really being able to develop her own away from the character. And despite, you know, some stories might being about her becoming her own person, I still think there's a bit of misogyny in there that I do not personally enjoy. I think they've been doing a better job at trying to steer her away from that ever since Sonic Boom, really. Like, I think you could kind of see the workings of them trying to change that once when Lost World came out. But I think the character's been kind of stuck in plain white paper territory for the past few years. I enjoyed her in Frontiers. That's probably the most I've liked Amy in any Sonic media in a while, if not ever, but it still wasn't enough for me. I think if they do some stuff to make her own character, don't go anywhere near romance with Sonic and Amy. I do not want to see a Sonic Amy love story. And I know that Paramount isn't really adhering to Sega restrictions or their guidelines that they set out for the franchise. Paramount really has free reign to do whatever they want to do. But that's kind of the one rule I want them to follow. Don't have Sonic I don't want that. I would love for a nice little relationship to develop between them that is platonic. I really want that. One of the number one things these movies nail are character dynamics and individual character dynamics and how one character interacts with every single individual character. I want that with Amy and to see a particular close relationship with Sonic and how they interact. And I think it'd be cool for them to bond on some deeper level than he's able to with Tails or Knuckles, despite those characters obviously being brothers. But I don't think you can just like toss her into Team Sonic and just make her part of the mix. And I'm not saying she has to quote unquote earn it, but definitely make their relationship feel natural. As for Metal Sonic, they need to make him genuinely menacing. If he's going to be the big bad, I can't have him just be a bunch of random robots. If they're just personality robots with no purpose other than destroying Sonic, I'm going to need more than that. Despite me being notoriously known for not enjoying this piece of Sonic media, the Sonic OVA came very, very close to making the most interesting version of Metal Sonic we've had. I think there's a story you could tell with Man and Machine that could be very interesting, and I think him looking like Sonic is something that you gotta play with. It's something that's mentioned already in the post-credit scene. But the biggest question goes to, where is he coming from? Why does he look exactly like Sonic? Because this isn't a Shadow situation. This is a robot that is built to look like Sonic. Why is that the case? How is that the case? We'll have to see. And that kind of leads me into the next point. I think you ultimately need a larger bad, because where did all of these Metal Sonic come from? It's not just one Metal Sonic. Remember, this is an army of Metal Sonics. Who created them? Why? And how? And I honestly think that there are two options. One, I think that they're just gonna have Jim Carrey as Eggman return. They're gonna up his payday. He's gonna stick around. He's not really flirting with retirement anymore. He's been tossing around other movie concepts. He wants to make like a Grinch sequel. I think he's very firm in the, okay, I'm gonna stick around kind of bag. Let's not forget this movie very much so ends in a way to where, yes, Eggman could still be alive. I know the ending of his arc in this film was very definitive, very conclusive, and very well done, but they still have way more to play with when it comes to that character in future films. Because if Shadow survived that, I think Eggman could have survived as well. I think that can be inferred. These movies, yes, they're Sonic movies, but I think Jim Carrey has the most screen time in Sonic Movie 3 than any other character, including Sonic. Jim Carrey is a massive draw to these films. He's probably one of the most talked about elements when it comes to the general public. This is our one time to see Jim Carrey in the theater in the past, like, entire decade. I'm not saying you need him, but you borderline do at this point. He is kind of the heart and soul soul of the Sonic movies. Whether you guys like that or not, it is very much so the case. He steals the show all the time. And Sonic movie 3 was his best portrayal, so it's not like people are like, okay, I've had enough Jim Carrey. No, it's really left people wanting more. Jim Carrey in Sonic 3 is the best Dr. Eggman we've had thus far. And yes, that's going to lead to hunger for people wanting more of him. Either he can create Metal Sonic and have his own little relationship with that character, or an entirely different, new, original bad guy. I think it's time for these movies to start diving into their own territory and creating their own universe in a way. For the most part, everything has really come from concepts from the game outside of stuff like Long Claw and some of the elements on how certain things in the Sonic universe work. I want to see them start not introducing original characters in the Sonic sense, because I still think you have so many Sonic characters that you still need to introduce from the already established media. But I would like to see a new adversary, because there will, at some point, come a point where Jim Carrey can't do these movies anymore, where either he's tapped out, wants to retire, is just done doing this, and doesn't want to make Sonic movies anymore. That time could very well so come. If I'm a betting man now, I say he's back for Sonic 4. But if you want to continue these movies for as long as they seem to want to, you might need to introduce a new bad guy who's just as interesting. Whether he's as goofy or more menacing or played by X celebrity, you gotta do that at some point, so I would like to see that. Whether it's a human or not, I'd like to see the movie introduce a brand new original character. One of the biggest things I want also is I think it's been kind of established at this point that Earth is Sonic's world. Sonic is not leaving Earth. I know there are a lot of fans who are like, I want this movie to end, Sonic 3 to be specific, with Sonic and friends leaving Tom and Maddie behind and going to Sonic's world. Well, I think that there's dramatic potential there of, okay, they're leaving Earth and leaving their family behind. I don't know that would work entirely. There's just so much built up here. There's too much history. Sonic just like randomly leaving Earth would be strange. And I honestly kind of enjoy the element of Sonic and friends living on Earth. Also, I think that's one of the biggest draws of the film for general audiences. I think if this took place entirely on Sonic planets, it would not only be an entirely CGI film that's ultra realistic, which would be incredibly expensive to make, but maybe just a tad bit inaccessible for the general public. But as a compromise, I wouldn't mind seeing them take the Sonic X approach of merging Sonic's world with the Earth. Whether it's a problem with the space-time continuum that makes their universe merge together as a result of the space colony arc being destroyed or whatever, I think that would be a very cool element. You could have more Sonic worldy things pop up on Earth, such as parts of Green Hill just popping up in the mountains of Colorado, or Chemical Plant, for instance, popping up in Detroit or something, I don't know. I think that's a compromise of making it more Sonic-y, but still keeping things grounded on Earth, while also bringing in a very interesting new plot element that might be able to explain why Metal Sonic and Amy have arrived here. Because we also don't know this for a fact, those might not be the only characters they introduce in 4. They might decide, if they go with that storyline, which I would really like to see, them being able to maybe bring in other canon characters like the Chaotix, who, from reports, it sounds like Paramount's really interested in introducing, as well as other Sonic characters who could just be background characters or play smaller roles in the movie. I think that could be really fun and also provide not only fan service, but a genuinely interesting story. And lastly, we know that Shadow is coming back. This might sound crazy, but I don't want them to dive too much into Shadow and make it the Shadow show. What I think they need to do is make a Shadow movie. I think Shadow has proven at this point that he's essentially able to just lead the franchise. We've seen Shadow just completely take over what is Sonic the Hedgehog TM. He's able to carry things on his own, not only as a character with all the history on his side, let's not forget that this character is over 20 years old, but also he's played by one of the biggest movie stars in the world. He's incredibly popular. If you went out into public, Shadow was a hot commodity. Every single Shadow product that was at a movie theater I went to was selling out, if not already sold out. He is just that guy, and I think you are 100% able to make a Shadow movie and have it make money. As long as you make your budget respectable and decent and don't go too crazy, you can make your money back and make a good profit from a Shadow the Hedgehog movie starring Keanu Reeves. So that's kind of what I want to see. A Shadow spin-off project just with Shadow, have him in Sonic movie 4 for a bit and have him contribute the way that he needs to, but don't have him take up too much time from Amy and Metal Sonic, because those are the characters that are going to need some development, because those are all new characters that have no grassroots in this franchise yet that you need to bring in and uplift. We love Shadow. It's time for more Shadow. You need to give us more Shadow and just give him a bit in Sonic movie 4. But I think the character has also earned his spotlight to have his own projects. So that's what I hope to see. Whether that is a movie or a show, I would prefer a movie. Give Shadow his own spotlight and have him contribute in 4, kind of the way that Knuckles did in Sonic movie 3. And guys, that's really what I want to see with Sonic movie 4. I cannot wait for this movie. It's a decent wait, but of course you guys know that we're going to be covering this thing like a hawk, so stay tuned. I have more Sonic Movie 4 videos and also Sonic Movie 3 and other content planned, so stay tuned for that. But this is where I pass it off to you and ask what you think. What do you want to see in Sonic Movie 4? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to know what you guys have to say. Feel free to find my social media links to my Twitter and Instagram in the description below. You can follow those by sticking to my life, future content, and all things Sonic the Hedgehog. But most importantly, if you're not subscribed, make sure you're subscribed. This is the #1 destination on YouTube for all things Sonic, whether it's video games, TV shows, movies, comics, merchandise, and more. We talk about it all. Like I said, we have so many more videos coming, so stay tuned. I love all of you so much. I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.
Baby, right by the motherfucking seaside, dog. Everything I see, I got a dream. I thought these leaves would go and take me out the dark. I know everything I wanted to far away.